Hey guys, James again for TFB TV, and I'm here today to tell you about why the Kahr CM9 is my favorite day-to-day concealed carry gun. I've actually been following Kahr for a long time. They were the first manufacturer to really take off with the single stack 9mm concept. Of course, you had the Munich trio prior to that. You had the Walther P5, the SIG P6, the HK P7, which were all single stack 9mm made for defense. However, those were pretty big guns, all three of them were. So when Kahr came out with the K9, which was an all steel single stack 9mm that was only 0.9 inches thick, they started to change the game a little bit. Well, then eventually they came out with the Kahr P9, which was the first single stack polymer pistol they produced, and it may be the first polymer single stack pistol on the market. And Kahr's been at this for a while. They have several patents with their designs. They've got, for example, an offset feed ramp that allows them to put some of the trigger mechanism more towards the interior of the gun instead of the exterior, keeping the profile slim throughout the slide and the frame. Now, in my opinion, the next major improvement that Kahr made was when they switched to the economy series, where instead of the PM9 or the P9, you had the CM9, the CW9. That C designator indicates that it is part of Kahr's economy line of guns. Now, what's the difference? First of all, there's no laser engraving on the C-Series. That's not a big deal. I don't care. I like the standard roll mark that comes on this C-Series. Also, you miss out on polygonal rifling, and I really, if you asked me today, I would have no idea what additional benefit in a gun this size polygonal rifling would get you. This is a concealed carry gun. It's not a day-to-day duty carry gun that gets shot a lot. So I really fail to see what additional benefits you would get, because I think you pay another $200, $250 to step up to the standard flagship line. Also, I believe the C-Series all have metal injection molded slide stops, which again, that's not that big of a deal. So that said, I feel like you save a substantial amount of money going with the C-Series over the P-Series, but you're getting a gun that performs similarly, if not exactly as well. I've owned P-Series, I've owned the K-Series, the all-steel guns, I've owned the Elite Series. I've owned at least a dozen Kahrs throughout the years, and to me, I think getting the C-Series is a no-brainer. So that said, you're looking at around $300 to $350 for one of these, which for the features you get is way better than some of the other guns on the market, at least dollar for dollar. Unlike, say, the Kel-Tecs, this gun's got excellent sights. It's got full cocking serrations at the back of the slide, which are very grippy. Stainless steel, which is pretty rust resistant. I mean, nothing's totally rust proof here in Louisiana, but it's pretty close. If you look at the numbers, it's one of the smallest, if not the smallest, single stack 9mm in its class. And it's also one of the most efficient when you look at rounds to weight or rounds to volume. Now, comparing the Glock 43 to the Kahr CM9, you can see that the Kahr is a little bit shorter in terms of barrel length. They're almost identical in terms of height, if not identical. All in all, the Kahr seems like a slightly smaller gun. I think they're about the same thickness. So if you like the Kahrs, if you like the dimensions of the Kahrs, I think the Kahr is going to be slightly smaller, slightly lighter. The slide will lock open in the last round. A lot of guns this size, a lot of these super compact single stack 9mm, they don't do that. Pretty easy to break down. All you do is line up the takedown notches on the slide in the frame and then punch out the slide stop and everything comes off. But to me, the biggest selling point of this gun is the trigger. This is a striker fired gun, and that actually works out pretty well because it gives you nice even pressure without any take up throughout the trigger travel. And it's not squishy, it's not mushy, it's just a nice even pull. It stacks up a little bit at the end, just a little, and then you get a nice crisp break. All right, now let's shoot about a dozen hollow points through this CM9. Yep, no problems there, unsurprisingly. I've probably shot about 1,000 rounds through this thing in its lifetime, and I've never had a jam, never had a hang up. I've shot hollow points, I've shot 147, 124, 115 grain, and one thing I say, I also do a review of the Glock 43. Now, I might find myself carrying the Glock 43 a little bit more than the Glock CM9 now. Now, I say this in the Glock video, and I'm gonna say it here too. If I walk into a gun store for the first time, I'm buying, say, my first concealed carry piece, and if I'm trying to decide between, say, the Glock 43 or the Kahr CW9, and I go in with $450, me personally, I can't tell you to buy the Glock over the CM9. You can get the CM9 for the low $300 range, while the Glock is gonna run you about $450. So you're gonna save $100 to $150 to get, and you're gonna get a gun that performs just as well. You can't say one trigger's better than the other. I personally believe the Kahr's got a better, smoother trigger, where the Glock has the typical squishy take up with the clean break at the end that people are used to. I think the Kahr's got a more uniform, smoother trigger. So I lean towards the Kahr in that regard. They both have good sights, they both have good slide serrations, and they both weigh about the same, they're both about the same size, they both have the same capacity, but you're gonna save $100 to $150 on the Kahr. And that, to me, is a deal breaker. You are getting a premium single stack 9mm, but you're paying Ruger LC9 costs. And this, by the way, smokes the LC9 in terms of trigger. So that was Wolf 115 grain 9mm. I traditionally try not to shoot that in my carry guns just because I think it's been shown that steel case ammo will prematurely wear out your guns. It's just harder, it's a harder metal, and so it's harder on the internals and on the barrel. But that said, it's also, I also do like shooting it periodically, only because it's tougher to extract those harder metals like the steel casing. So if a gun can shoot Wolf ammunition, you know it's going to be able to shoot the higher quality brass stuff, at least in my experience. Now, one thing I don't like about the CM9 comes with a stainless steel finish, which is pretty good and it looks good, but it is not completely rust proof. Especially the more satin portion on the top of the slide. If I don't pay attention to it, it will start to develop rust spots, and it has them right now. Now that, fortunately, is going to be addressed because Kahr is going to start DLC using the diamond-like coating on the CM9, and presumably they're going to upcharge for that. And depending, when that comes out, and depending on how much they charge for it, that could ultimately defeat the reason ever to spend more money on the P-Series versus the C-Series. Because right now, in my opinion, the only reason that you should step up to the P-Series from the C-Series is to get the diamond-like coating. But once they have that available in the C-Series, then I think you're going to have a lot of people who are going to stick with the C-Series rather than pay the premium to go up to the PM9 series. And another thing that's a little bit tricky about the Kahr, but I mean this is endemic to all of the subcompact single stack 9mm, you really got to get up on that slide. It takes a lot of pressure to get this slide all the way back, and you have to get it all the way back if you want to successfully chamber that first round. So if you're going to buy this for your wife, or for somebody who doesn't have very much grip strength, you might want to let them try it first and maybe reconsider. Other than that, I mean, this is one of my favorite guns to carry, and for the price, it's definitely the best thing going for the price. I am carrying the Glock 43 a lot more recently, more now than I did At the beginning of this video, when I shot the video, I said, hey, this is my everyday carry. This was for years, but now I kind of bounce between the Glock 43 and the Kahr CM9. But, you know, that said, if money were no object, then, you know, it's personal preference. Get a PM9, get a CM9, get a Glock 43. I happen to like the Glock 43 mostly because I have the Glock 19, 17, 26. So, you know, you have that familiarity. You can get these for $300 or less sometimes, the Kahr CM9, and they're reliable, they work well, the trigger's great, they carry well, they're the smallest single stack 9s out there. They're smaller and lighter than the Glock 43, so look them up, give them a shot. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you have any questions about the Kahr CM9, feel free to post them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Thanks.